Hello, my name is Stella Damasus. Most of you know me as an actor, but some of you know me as one who fights for the rights of women and young girls. A couple of months ago, I received a message via Twitter from someone who said to me, Stella, you need to meet with one woman. She has a very strong and compelling story, but she needs a platform to tell her story for the world to hear. And so the woman finally got in touch with me. We exchanged numbers and we started talking. When I heard her story, trust me, I was shocked to my bone because of some things that happened. Not like it was new to me because I'd been there before. She's a widow. I have been a widow. But the shocking thing is what she has had to go through in her life, even though she has lost someone, which is something that we've always said, that as a widow, you shouldn't be made to go through extra stress. People shouldn't have the right to abuse your emotional state, your psychological state, most especially your financial state. I need you to listen to her story, and trust me, it will shock you. You may even think that we are writing a Nollywood script, but this is no script. This is her story, and I believe that every person, every woman has a right to speak her truth, to speak up, and tell her own side of the story. Listen. Okay, first of all, thank you, Dr. Anne, for being here. There are so many people I've tried to talk to about cases like yours, but they have been afraid to speak up. But you said, you know what, it's time to speak up. So let's first of all know who you are.
Thank you very much for having me. Conversely, on the other side of you, there's so many people who came to me to say, we want to run your story, but at some point they chicken out. So thank you for pulling through with us. My name is Dr. Omolola Omoteso. I'm also referred to as Omolola Famuyiwa.
Okay. So Famuyiwa is your
maiden name.
Okay. Omoteso is your married
husband's last name.
So I think people want to know why you are here, why you want to speak up, and what the story is.
You want a Nollywood script or you want just a summary? Because when you say why you're here, you're asking for 3+ years.
When I heard a little bit of your story, I was like, even as a Nollywood practitioner, this is beyond what we have ever imagined or written. So I felt people need to know.
Okay, I'm here for 3 major reasons. One is to put a face to widow abuse, because a lot of NGOs haven't made much headway beyond just giving widows peanuts or just trying to give them some sort of succor. I'm here to put a face to widow abuse, and widow abuse cuts across. It's not just people who are poor. It's not just people who are uneducated. It's not just people who are, it cuts across. Secondly, I'm here to share my story. It is a real life story, and it is still happening. It is ongoing. And finally, I'm here to advocate for an end to widow abuse through either of 2 things. 1, criminalization of widow abuse, or 2, a reform of the probate laws. Because if our laws are not reformed, it's not enough for a governor or a president to be saying, oh, take care of widows, we care about women. You have to have laws in place to protect these women. The marriage certificate should have been strong enough. But you see, all over the world, the marriage certificate is a fraud. Because if after your husband dies, they're now saying, come and sign something else. This man signed you into his life. What more should be more than that? So that's why I'm here.
Great. I like what you said about after getting the marriage certificate and the man dies, they ask you to sign something else. Not just sign, they ask you to fight for.
Yes. What has been signed into. You've been signed into it. Yes.
Okay, so I want to know your story. How it all started, what's going on in your case?
Okay, my story has like 10 angles. I'm going to just try and pick just one angle. My husband died as a citizen of America. He was invited to Nigeria to work with the presidency. It was not a job by the federal government. which is where a lot of people are mixing things up. They believe that the federal government invited him over. It was a job to be paid for by the United Kingdom under a DFID arrangement. There's still some logistic support that countries who were involved maybe in colonialism or whatever give to Nigeria, and this is one of it, strategic support. So it was a support to the presidency under which my husband was invited to take on a role. Now, we were going on vacation and considering taking up this role, staying in Nigeria for a few months if all works well, but we had our return tickets for April 2016, which established the fact that we were not relocating permanently to Nigeria. We were not changing domicile. My husband was not renouncing his citizenship. So we were there to do a contract for specific months. Okay? While he was there, his brother lodged him in a room in his home through which he got an infection.
His brother put him in his brother's house?
Yes. We were shuttling between hotel, the brother's house, going to Abuja. So it wasn't the brother's.
Oh, did you go with him to Nigeria?
I was already in Nigeria before he came, just to prepare for his arrival. So we were there. Whenever he's with his brother, I'll be there. I'm a very spiritual person, and I had direct spiritual warning not to stay with family. But you see, it was manipulated. Oh, you've never stayed with us before. Oh, you'll soon be going to Abuja. Oh, why don't you, men. So he stayed there. He had an infection. The brother was taking him to a gynecologist. He wasn't pregnant. He's a man, remember? Hello. Was taking him to, I know, you're relaxed. Taking him to a gynecologist until I put my foot down to say no. He said, the doctor is experienced? No. We need a specialist to handle this. In between, I succeeded in taking him to General Hospital, where many people don't like to go to General Hospital because of, their processes. But one thing I credit General Hospitals for is they have consultants at less to nothing. So when he had an attack in the middle of the night one day, I put my foot down and insisted we're going to General. And there it was managed and it was warned that what is wrong with you could lead to your death. Thankfully, those resuming in the morning was in the middle of the night. Our consultants handling this exactly.
Hold on, they didn't know what the infection was?
Because I knew about his health history, so I was able to tell them.
Okay, he had a medical condition.
Yes, he was living with sickle cell.
Sickle cell. Okay.
He was living with sickle cell before, and he was also dealing with some other conditions. So I knew that he was prone to infection and all that and all that. I didn't even know that this room he was lodged in existed in that house. I've been going to the house. I did, because it must have been locked up for a while. That is a place, once my husband can't breathe well, there's a problem. So cut a long story short, the brother manipulated him again to say, oh, your status should not be in General. I know where to take you. So he takes him to this doctor I never saw, I never knew, who gave him steroids. And steroids aggravated his condition. He was looking well. He went to Abuja for because he had started preliminary work with the presidency, right? But officially, it was supposed to begin on February 15th. But he had started in January, just, signing in, doing trainings, meeting with people and all that. And it took him to this doctor who prescribed. I didn't know what it was prescribed, what it was given, until later. So he went to Abuja. I took him. He was well. I guess on his way back, he developed, he wasn't feeling too well. So they called the brother to say, hey, he's not feeling well. Be at the airport. What would you expect a brother to do? Call the wife. You see, a lot of men are so sexist in Nigeria that they don't realize what should be common sense. You're not living with this man. You don't know his condition. Anywhere I'm going on my phone, my husband's data, everything about his health is there.
Yeah.
Because I can't even credit myself to think well when we are in an emergency. So it's already on my phone. I just need to show it to the doctor. you can't give him this, you can't give him this, this is what he's dealing with. And they immediately, which was what happened when we went to general. It wasn't magic.
Yeah.
I had all the information. So they weren't doing testing. He didn't call me. He went to the airport, picked a man who was in a wheelchair, which I knew after the fact, put him in his vehicle and took him to his house instead of the hospital.
What?
My husband, yes. What? Hello? Yeah. My husband had kidney problem, so he was on dialysis. He was physically bloated when I saw him, but it took him past 2 dialysis centers. One on Ikorodu Road, one in our lane. You know where the airport is? Yeah. It took him past us and took him home. By the time I got there, I'm like, this man shouldn't be home. Cut a long story short, he died that night.
In the hospital or in the house?
We took him there. They needed blood. Of course, Nigeria, there was no blood in the dialysis center. I had to do a protest 1 year after. No apology, no explanation. One of the reasons why I allowed my husband to sign up with that particular dialysis center is because they have an ambulance. 1 year after, I found out that the ambulance is just a decoy. It wasn't working. Because I kept hammering, why did you let the driver go home? If the driver had not gone home, my husband would have received help. And I was told, sorry, ma'am, but that vehicle wasn't even working. It's why we let the driver go. So we ended up, when the emergency situation came, we ended up putting him in my husband's brother's vehicle with me there, and we rushed him. We met traffic. The oxygen they gave us, they had already switched it off. I knew things. I checked and I saw that this was off. I put it on, it worked for a while, it stopped. There was no oxygen. Yes, not laughable, but you see, my people say when something passes to cry, you laugh about it, so you don't become insane. And we ran into traffic. Oxygen was already off. Don't forget, they put it off. I put it on. It worked for a little while. It went off. We got to the hospital and I was expecting, and I rushed in. Oh, he's so-and-so person's friend. You need to do something, you know. And they were hurrying to do something. My brother-in-law went in, came back, and I saw that nobody was going to do anything anymore. Guess what? He had told them it was BID. Brought in dead. This man was still alive. He was not dead.
Wait a minute.
Yes, I know you're hearing fresh angles. He was not dead. He was still alive.
How does a man who's not a doctor go into a hospital?
Yeah, the doctor also drove behind us. So he also went to corroborate the story. But when I asked the doctor previously, he didn't tell me he was dead. So I still want to get to it. The doctor did say to me after we did the protest to the hospital a year after that he wanted to see me. Perhaps there is something he needs to confess to me.
No, wait, are they saying that whilst you were in the car with your late husband, he was already dead?
They are saying he was already dead in their hospital. But you see, a lot of private hospitals don't like to record death. They find a way to push it to government, because if it's private, if you sue them, and then the number of people, you know, who died in that hospital is a certain number, then they begin to investigate them. It was during the protest, for instance, that one of those who protested with us, or maybe an advocacy work, let me call it that, told me, oh, this was the same hospital my husband died in. Yes, the same dialysis center, the same condition. So should this hospital be existing? The video is online. So I don't want to mention their name here, but the video is online. They mentioned their own name. I took the picture, everything myself. It's there 1 year after. And they began to apologize to me 1 year after. So they got there and they said it was BID. He gasped in the vehicle. I was the one seated behind with him. And I said, no, he is not dead. Do something. Shock, whatever you can do. They wouldn't do anything. I insisted, and we moved him to St. Nicholas. We got to St. Nicholas. The first nurse that came out checked his pulse and said, Madam, yes, it's very faint, but his pulse is still there.
This was after they had told you BID?
In Lagos.
Okay.
Ikeja. The first nurse that came out said, Madam, when the doctors came out, I don't know what my brother-in-law whispered to them. They said, oh, madam, we're sorry. And I said, but the nurse, tell them. And the nurse said, I'm sorry, ma'am. Maybe I was hearing my own pulse. Yeah. Yes, I'm fighting back tears. Maybe I was hearing my own pulse. She couldn't challenge the doctors. She was the first respondent, and there was still life in my husband. There was life in him. I said, no. I said, let's go to General Hospital.
I don't understand.
So we got to General Hospital. They too wanted to do something. He went, it's just two of us there. One person would have to stay with him. He went in again, and then the whole, like they've been deflated.
So what happens is you get to a hospital, you, your brother-in-law, your late husband, you have to stay with your late husband.
Yes.
He goes in, and by the time they come out, the story is different. But when he goes in and they come out, do they check him and then give you?
They never checked him. They did not check him at lawsuit. They did not check him. The doctors just came. The nurse who checked him first, checked his pulse, told me, it is faint, but it is there. I don't think a nurse who is experienced enough to be at an emergency unit would mix up a pulse with our own heartbeat. I don't think so. But once my brother-in-law whispered something to the doctors, they just assumed that I'm a woman who does not want to accept that her husband has passed away. But the nurse who responded that night, I mean, if you were in a country where investigative journalists would do their job, if you investigate that woman, she will tell you that life was in that man.
Yeah.
She was the only person who checked. Okay, so let's now fast forward to now he's dead. I had to sneak out very early the next because I just didn't believe that, and went to see him again, called him, kissed him. In the morgue, they didn't want me to see him. I'm like, if you don't let me see him, then I'm not living here. Called him, kissed him, hugged him, and he didn't respond. I said, well, that's it. Now he is dead. And so I'm still mourning, and my husband's brother, I tried to run away from calling him my brother-in-law because he lost that right with so many things, fraudulent things he has done. My husband's brother, and even calling him the brother, I think we need to do a DNA because I don't think any full-blood brother, really.
Trust me.
Any full-blood brother would get into...
There could be full-blood brothers. When it comes to property and money, the mind...
They lose their mind. I guess greed, that is how greed comes in. And he came to me, he would often come to my room. I don't know how you go into the room of somebody who just lost her husband. And he came and said, oh, for us to do anything about insurance, we have to do it before he's buried. So where are insurance documents? And I was like, I was woosed because as educated as I am, 5 college degrees, I've never discussed insurance with my husband.
Yep.
Never, not once. So he asked me the question and I'm looking like, insurance. I said, you're the one who picks mails. When mails comes to the house, you should know about this. I said, I don't know. And when we went to Nigeria, we took some things with us. He drove me to where those things were to go and look for insurance documents. I was searching for them and I broke down emotionally and I began to weep. When this man was alive, I don't even go through his things. I was not the kind of woman that was looking for you having a relationship. Feel free. I wasn't.
Yep.
I have projects I do. I have programs. I'm not going to be babysitting a man to find out does he have a girlfriend. Or, no. So I've never had to go through. If the Holy Spirit needs to show me something, he will say, go on the XYZ, go and check. And I check and I find what I need to find. So I'm searching through his things and I just broke down. It had not even been a week or 2 weeks. I can't remember exactly. And my cousins went with me, my aunties went with me, and they were like, enough. Whatever you're looking for, you would have to look for it yourself. This woman can no longer, she just lost her husband. And then they went for the family meeting on how to bury my husband. I was not taken. My husband is going to be buried. And me, myself, and they just came into the room.
And told you
my husband's
decisions.
brother, and then my husband's immediate elder sister came into the room and said, "We're going for a meeting with Sister Agba. What do you want us to say over there?" Of course, you can't argue. So I said, well, if you people have any family thing you do, if you have a family church he has to go to, I will comply. But please, one thing I'm requesting, what he's going to wear, I want to take care of it. Please, that's the only thing I am asking for now. They went to the meeting, they came back, they discussed undertaker, coffin. They didn't discuss burial service. They didn't discuss anything to honor this man. Nothing, just how to bury him. And I began to ask questions. Where is he going to be buried? And they said, Lagos Island. And I said, this man was rich in his own right. We can bury him in a better place. And yeah, it may be just the corpse, but it may be the body, but we can give him some honor. I'll take charge of the service. I'll take charge of the food. Yes, I'm not going to be partying, but people would eat. He lived. He may not have had biological children, but he had other children. And he lived.
Okay, so you both didn't have kids?
Together, no, we didn't.
Okay.
So we passed that stage. Funeral, beautiful funeral. I said to myself, I asked for that special strength because I had to do the program and so many things myself. And I'm somebody who pays attention to detail. And I came to that point when God said to me, he's not going to die twice. Whatever you miss doing now, you miss doing it forever. So I had to ask for divine strength to honor this man.
Okay.
And yeah, so he died 4 days to when his appointment as economic advisor to the presidency would have taken effect.
Wow, so he didn't even get to...
As I said, it started informally, but it never
got to the contractual part.
They did all the contractual part and everything. But there's, I think, oftentimes they would have started serving, like when they say, oh, the president they would have started serving in some capacity before they formally announced.
Oh, that, okay.
So the formal announcement was supposed to be February 15. He died under very strange, fraudulent circumstances on the 11th.
So after that, after you buried him, did you come back to America immediately?
Okay. Of course, I'd never had to bury a husband. So for me, my cousin kept saying the death certificate, and I'm like, what am I going to use that for? The man I'm married to is dead. So I beg, you people should just... But she didn't let me be. So at some point, my brother-in-law came, my husband's brother came and said, oh, you're going through a lot of grief. Let me help you process it. And I said to myself, if you need to process something for me, I'll need to give you an authorization or something. But he didn't return to me. I said, okay, but I was expecting he would return to me, for some sort of authorization. He never did. And my cousin didn't let me rest. So, and then the office also started asking for it because they wanted to pay out money for the part of the contract my husband had fulfilled. And I had to ask her, I said, I'm sorry, you mentioned something to me. Have you gone for it? Do I need to give you a letter? The death certificate. Actually, I've actually collected it, but Sister Agba said we need to have a meeting before I can give it to you. I'm like,
wait, hold up.
Yes, hold up. That was exactly what I did. I'm like, sorry, you're getting things mixed up. I'm asking for the death certificate. You asked me
to authorize.
You came to request of me to let you go and collect. That's what I'm asking. He said, yes, sister can be difficult. I don't want to get into a trouble. So when you are okay, we'll have a meeting. I said, sir, I am not sick. The loss of my husband is something I would have to deal with throughout my lifetime.
Wait a minute.
I'm waiting.
They were able to get a death certificate without your authorization.
Yes.
That still happened.
This is how they succeeded. They had moved my husband's corpse from Lagos Island, where it was lodged, to Lagos mainland at a place I do not know. But they said to me at the time, we know a place where they would take better care of him. So that gave them access to documentation.
Hmm.
On the autopsy and death certificate for the autopsy, for instance, they wrote that my husband died at 7:30. My husband did not die at 7:30. He was still alive at 8 p.m. and at 8 p.m. we were still in the dialysis center.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding. And when you do an autopsy, I tell people, if I had the funds, I would have done two things.
Did they do that? Did they do an autopsy?
Well, let me say, they doctored an autopsy. That couldn't be an autopsy because an autopsy would at least be near the time of death, even if not exactly. Also, an autopsy will show marks or surgical marks on the body. I know my husband had some surgical marks, which were not reflected in that autopsy. And I spoke to somebody, a top doctor who said to me, oftentimes we don't do it, we just write down something. So whether they wrote down something or they doctored it, but I knew that they deliberately pushed back the time for a reason. So if I had the capacity or the financial capacity, I would have done two things. Sued my husband's brother for homicide and got somebody to exhume the body and do a proper autopsy. I wouldn't be shocked that we would find that it was actually killed.
Wow.
Because when you begin to doctor an autopsy result, when you need to move a body from point A to point B to give you full access of documentation, that is beyond fraud.
Okay, let me, because these are strong, very strong allegations here.
I know.
What do you think would be the motive behind your husband's brother doing all of this?
You said something. You said when it comes to properties.
Yeah.
People can do anything.
Yeah.
The motive is simple. This was a man who, my husband got married at 54. So for them, all his life, he was working for his siblings and for their children. They were urging him to work more. I recollect an experience where my husband was falling ill, and I called one of the sisters and I said, please, I don't get into reporting my husband, but this has to do with his health. I need you to talk to him to slow down. It's just himself, myself. I need him to slow down. And she laughed and said to me, your husband has always been a go-getter. And as a matter of fact, his salary on his first job was more than the salary my husband and I earned. What kind of thinking is that? So it wasn't. They were urging him to work more. So the motive is this: he was working for them, and suddenly he falls in love. He gets married, and they know that the U.S. law gives you everything, and they are scared that this woman may not give anything. So greed comes into play, because they want these things. And one of my husband's friends actually said that to me, or one of my supposed husband's friends said, Omolola, you can't be upset with these people. This man, they expected he would die soon, he would die soon, he will die soon. You came into his life, he was well, he started working again, he started making money again. And then he dies and everything becomes yours. You don't expect them not to put up a fight. He told me this verbatim.
Where did you marry your husband? America or Nigeria?
We were married in Nigeria.
Okay.
And we were married in the US.
Okay. Both. Okay.
Traditional, this ceremony, that ceremony in Nigeria. And then in Teaneck, the deputy mayor of Teaneck wedded us in the US.
Okay.
So of course, in the US, nobody is asking me, where is the marriage certificate? Where is this? Where is that? And that is what brings us to why the government, this has been going on, widow has been going on for too long.
Okay, so let's back up to them. They've allegedly obtained a fraudulent death certificate.
Sister-in-law, my husband's brother's wife, was the one who collected the death certificate. And the details on the death certificate was filled originally by my husband's brother. And he did something which is not apparently fraudulent, but when you now piece together the story, is completely fraudulent. Address, he wrote his own home address. He knew where we lived or still live. I'm still there. He has visited us with his family. He opened his bank account in America using that address. But suddenly when he wanted to fill his death certificate, his own address was written instead of my husband's address.
Okay. So when that certificate came out, did they present it to you?
No. Which was why the long story about family meeting come to family meeting. You know, in Nigeria we have two. There's the hospital copy, which is now used to do the national population copy. There is no law about who fills that form. It is a legal document. Any idiot can actually fill it. Do you know that anybody who picks a corpse has a right to the corpse? In Nigeria, picks it and takes it to the hospital, has a right to the corpse.
Are you kidding?
I'm not.
That means anybody can fill the death
and don't
certificate.
forget, when we got to the hospital, I was in the car, he went in. So whenever they would ask for next of kin, he would write his own name. He didn't write my name. Even to pick where my husband was buried, which was completely arranged by me, he went in and he submitted the form in his own name.
Okay, this is strange.
I know. But, so he filled that form and the document was issued. This was the document I was asking for, that I was asked to come to a family meeting. What they did not realize is this: I'm a journalist. I'm a woman of God. I know God and God speaks to me. As I was getting into that meeting, God said, record. Have it on record. Because this is what they've been telling people. Oh, we had a meeting. During the meeting, we made ourselves and our husband's brother the administrators. Then because of greed, she ran to America. Because she knew that in Nigeria, they won't give her anything. She ran to America to do it in Nigeria alone. Can you imagine? I have that meeting now online. Everything that happened from beginning, the audio is low, so anybody listening would have to boost it. How I was harassed, disparaged, abused verbally, spoken to in a condescending manner, and how they tried to manipulate me to say that my husband was a Nigerian citizen. And it was at that point I said, no. He died as an American citizen. He was already in America for 29 years. Yes, he came home. Yes, we came to take a contract at home. Yes, we wanted to buy a property in Nigeria so that whenever we would visit, we have a place to stay. But he never changed domicile. He never renounced the citizenship. So where is all this? Oh, he has returned to Nigeria. He's a Nigerian. At that point, I actually broke down in tears. And I said to my sister-in-law, I said, don't let the wrath of this dead man be upon you. Because at that point, they started bringing up, oh, you didn't even formally change your name. You didn't even, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Where's all this coming from? Unknown to me, they had actually finished everything they wanted to do. Because the very next day, they were at the probate court. The meeting ended inconclusively. The audio is there. This meeting, they're saying, it was during this meeting, the meeting did not conclude. I left in tears, but by the next day, they were at the probate court with a lawyer acting for them, claiming to be acting for both of us, filling documents in my name.
Wait, hold on. They went to the probate court with a lawyer.
Yes,
claiming
and the death certificate, don't forget they have it.
Yeah, they have that. Your name is not appearing anywhere on any form, but you didn't sign, you didn't go in person.
Okay. I have right here with me. I have here with me as one of the documents with me. This is a bank certificate. It's one of the reasons why what I've been hammering on is a reform of the probate laws. This is a bank certificate issued at the beginning of the process. So now, they show the letter to say they've written to me as a proposed administrator. The letter was addressed to my husband's brother's home.
So you never got to see it?
I never got to see it.
And the person who said was representing you, you never got to meet the person?
No.
You don't?
I didn't even know him at that point.
And the probate court accepted that he was representing you?
Because he's a lawyer. Any lawyer can walk in and start a probate process. Our laws are so flawed. And then they give this bank certificate because the bank wants to get a percentage. Property you didn't work for, why are you getting a percentage? Because the bank wants to get a percentage, they want to know what amount this man has in bank. So they give you this bank certificate. And you see, it says Mrs. Omolola Omoteso and obtained or applied for. So it's not somebody got it on my behalf. I did not apply for this. And see what they did. And that's why I said there's a lot more if an investigator can dig into it. You see, I never formally changed my name. But if they had written Omolola Famuyiwa, and the family had actually, they had a battle against me for that. My husband couldn't care less. As far as I'm concerned, he's an American. He didn't really care much about that. He did my residency papers and he wrote my name as Omolola Famuyiwa. He didn't have a problem. I was living with him. So why would he be scared about, what I identify as? But if they had written Omolola Famuyiwa, they would have asked them for a marriage certificate. But they didn't have that.
You have it.
I have it. In fact, both copies. My husband never held it. From the very day we got married, I said, I'm the only one. You are the one who came to me to say, marry me. You have no right to say you are not doing it anymore. I'm the only one who has that right because I judge has sit down. So both, and we laughed about it. He gave me both copies. Both copies, I was keeping.
Okay.
So they didn't have any access. The photocopy of that document is not anywhere in this world, except with me and my father.
Okay, so they go to the probate court.
So they wrote just Omolola Omoteso. So with that, this last names match. They said, that's the wife. So they go to the probate court, filed an application in my name, obtain this bank certificate to have access to bank accounts so they can go and find out how much is there to be able to calculate the probate commission.
So hold on. With all of this, does that mean that they don't need to obtain a letter of administration? These things... Okay, go ahead.
This is part of the process to obtain a letter of administration.
Okay.
But the process is wrong. The verification should be the first thing.
Yeah.
When you appear anywhere in the US, the first thing is they run your license or they run your passport. They want to know who you are. If you say, I live at 457, they want to be sure you are the same person who lives at 457. They run your fingerprints if need be. We don't have that in Nigeria, which is why he could just pop in his own home address as my husband's address. That would not have been possible in the US because they will question the address.
Yeah.
That's not this man's address. We have an address for him. Did he change? We don't have that. So once they know, oh, it's the wife.
They give it.
And then he's the lawyer.
Okay. Okay, so next step. After this, they've gone to the probate court. They've collected the bank details. They know what's in their account. What happened next?
Thank you. While all this was going on, I was clueless. I knew about this after, in fact, I knew about this like 9 months after. 9 to 11 months after. I was not able, they didn't give me a copy of the death certificate, but through the burial company, the company that handled the vaults and gardens in Ikoyi, I was, for you to bury, you must have submitted a copy. So through them, they processed the National Population Commission one. When it arrived and I saw my husband's brother's address on it, I was like, there's something wrong. But you see, for you to change anything on it, you need that hospital copy. And at that point, I didn't have access to it at all. So what I did was, okay, first go and protect. I was waiting to get them to give it to me. When I saw that reason was not going to prevail, I came to the US. By that time, the bank had already started processing foreclosure on one property.
In America?
In America, yeah.
How?
because the realtor connived with the builder. They know this man is there, so they know that if they can raise the property already had some problems before. But what they did immediately they heard it was dead is to connive and quickly ran to the finish line. And before I could say Jack Robinson, a $1.5 million property was tossed. Yes, in America.
Wait, how did they know here that there was a problem? Even if a man dies, they don't know what documents you have
My
or don't have.
brother-in-law called our realtor. You know, he used to visit us in America. And as part of his plans to position himself, he had wanted to buy a property here. And so my husband introduced
So
him
the same realtor?
the same realtor.
Okay.
So he got in touch with the realtor to say, you know, I want to help her.
Help you?
Yes, to manage the properties. And the realtor said, wait a minute, we have laws. I need to confirm from her first. Of course, when the realtor came to me, I'm like, help me. You should have discussed helping me with me first before coming to you. So once they saw all this, don't forget I was still grieving.
Yeah.
I was still trying to get a death certificate. So immediately I succeeded in getting one. Even though the address was wrong, I said to myself, at least it proves that this man has passed away. Brought it to the US, didn't have any problem getting a letter of administration. The one in Nigeria takes forever. And don't forget, I did not start the process in Nigeria. And I was not aware at this point that the process had started in Nigeria. I only became aware when they filed the lawsuit against me, February 2017. End of January 2017. My husband passed away in February. And by March, they had reached the surrogate court, which is like the probate court in Nigeria. They had reached the bargain surrogate court to say, this same lawyer had reached them to say, I'm representing her.
Wait, the same lawyer that was in Nigeria in the probate court saying he represented you
wrote to them, yes, here in America to say I'm representing her. And guess what America did? They interacted with this man for about 3 months without ever notifying me.
No, hold on. Okay, so this is where this is where it gets weird.
Very weird.
This is America.
So people have told me.
They are supposed to, because you know, in your previous statement, you said they would verify, like what your realtor said.
Yes.
We don't do things like that without verifying the address, the person, what you've done, who you are. So how does a lawyer from Nigeria reach out to the probate court here and they don't try to find you?
They never did. He wrote via email to them to say, Omolola Omoteso has passed away. In fact, he was the first person to notify them because, you know, I was having trouble getting any documentation, so I couldn't fly back to the US. Also, they restricted me, you know, this 1 month thing, you can't leave your house for 1 month and all that. So he reached them to say he has passed away, like a notice, and listed my name and my brother-in-law. I have it here. It's not story. I mean, the letter you wrote to me initially, I have it here. He wrote to say, yeah, this was the letter to proposed administrators. So exactly this kind of letter is what is sent to the US to notify them that my husband has passed away and that he has been engaged as an attorney for both of us. And he would be filing letter of administration in Nigeria just to stop me ever doing anything in America. So they started this. I came to America. I knew they asked me a lot of questions, but nobody mentioned to me that somebody had filed because I went in April. They went in March.
Okay, so you were still in Nigeria when the same lawyer filed and sent this message to the surrogate court here in America?
Yes.
Okay.
And the surrogate court never reached me.
Because you were still in Nigeria?
No, I live here. At least a letter would have been waiting for me in my house.
But did they have any copy of your address?
Of course. It's the same address up till now.
Because my question or my thinking is if nothing has ever been sent to them as regards your address, so if they've never had cause to send anything to your American address, could it then mean that the lawyer told them that your address is...
No. Don't forget that I'm a resident.
Yeah. So they would...
I've been in this country since 2005. I left after I studied. I came back after I got married to my husband. So my address is not in contention.
And the name that they used would not confuse the surrogate court as well.
Okay. Let me pull back a little.
Okay.
Before they did this, this was a notice about somebody who is an American.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And he is married.
Yeah.
So whether the wife lives here or not,
mm-hmm.
if somebody says I'm representing her, if sexism was not an issue, even in Western cultures, you should have reached that person, because widows are not invisible.
Yeah.
Hello, touch me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. You should have reached me to say, just like the realtor did, before she also, bought into the fraud in order to gain something. You should have written to say, somebody reached us to say XYZ.
Okay.
What do you have to say?
Okay.
They never did.
So now you come back in April?
I did my letter of administration. I obtained it without any stress. I have it here.
So you've actually obtained another letter?
I did then. So I obtained the letter of administration, and after I received the letter of administration, I began to do the process. Reach the bank, reach this person, reach that person, do all I needed to do. Okay. After I did all that, I'm trying to see if I have, okay, this is the one, because they would have a certified copy of the death certificate. That's their certified copy of the death certificate. Anyway, that's the copy of the letter of, one of the documents for the letter of administration.
Is this the one that they did in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, that had his own address. You can see the address. I mean, it's faint, but the 32 and all that, the address is there. Anyway, so I got it and I started. It was a lot to do. I didn't know jack about anything accounting, my husband, because you know what? We had division of labor. He handled everything, figures. I handled the home, including paying for what needed to be bought, paying for furniture, I handled the home. So when he died, in fact, the day I went to collect the statement of accounts, somebody took me to the bank. The person was parked to the left. When I left, I was walking towards the right. I'm sure that if the Holy Spirit didn't bring me back, that was a walk into insanity. So mental health issue is really real.
Oh, of course.
Because I picked the documents and I'm seeing 5 different accounts. And the only money in any bank in the US was a paltry $10,000. And there is this, not to talk of credit. And I got them and I left the bank and
I can imagine. I can imagine.
And it got to a point, like I was talking to myself, I did this. Omolola, wake up. The person who may have created this is gone.
Yeah.
If you're going to do anything to sort anything out, you need to leave. And I immediately was like, okay, where am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Okay, somebody brought me to the bank. Made my way back.
Okay, so when you came back to America, you filed for your letter of administration.
I got it.
How were they able to give it to you if the lawyer had already reached out to the surrogate in March?
Thank you. That's why I said they asked me a lot of questions. But they never told me why. They didn't see any reason not to give me because he lives here. We don't have any property anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world than here.
Yeah.
So they didn't see any reason not to give it to me. Mind you, he didn't file a lawsuit at that point. They only notified them. But the error in what they did was that they never confirmed. So somehow the system believed him, yet issued my letter of administration to me.
I don't understand that, but...
I don't. But guess what? Few months down the line, because they did not realize I'd obtained this letter of administration, he filed that my husband owed him money.
Who, the lawyer or
No. My husband's brother. He filed the claim that my husband owed him 80,000, and that because there were because of interest, he wanted 160 something thousand.
So the lawsuit you're talking about, they are suing you for what?
Thank you. So after this credit claim that blew away once I responded to it, meanwhile, in between, I was still trying to do mediation, get people to talk to him. Come, we don't need to do this. I mean, this man lived a peaceful life. Come to the table, let's discuss. You know, some of those he sent to me will say they want 50%, they want everything. Anyway, we passed that stage. When he saw that he couldn't move forward with the credit claim, they filed a lawsuit against me for 3 things. One, that I had lied to obtain the letter of administration. That because my husband was not domiciled in America. And their proof, the death certificate and their address on it. But who wrote the address on it?
No, but I don't understand. The surrogate court here, America is supposed to know that this is a citizen and you are a resident. And if you also come from Nigeria, it is possible that you have a house or something in Nigeria.
He didn't even have a house.
Yeah, but let's just say he did.
He did. Thank you.
Should that be grounds for...
It shouldn't, which brings us to racism, sexism, and every ism you can think about now, because not only was this lawsuit wrong in its entirety, right? It was also time barred. There's something called the statutes of limitations.
Yeah.
You cannot bring a case against an estate or against, an 9 months after. They brought this lawsuit 11 months after.
And it was still accepted.
It was accepted. But guess why? Don't forget they have an history. They have history. There was an underlying history. He had written to them before to say, we're doing it in Nigeria. So now they're saying, we did it in Nigeria, but after doing it in Nigeria, she came here to file another one. But he didn't submit any letter of administration in Nigeria. What he submitted were application forms, which brings us to the fact that most of these judges don't read these briefs.
So meaning that they are claiming that after they had letter of administration there in Nigeria, you came to get another one in America, but they never got the letter of administration.
Yes, but they are claiming that I had already applied in Nigeria and that my husband had changed domicile to Nigeria. And so any claim I'm doing here was a lie.
So how did it affect the property here?
Thank you. They also claimed that my husband was owing. Don't forget the claim they did before was thrown out. That was just like a claim. This was a lawsuit. So they brought it back into the lawsuit to say, our husband owes us money. She lied. So we want you to punish her. Okay. So this case started, and very experienced judge. You would expect him to be knowledgeable. But for months, it was looking like Jazz was working on him. Honestly. We will come to court and he will be speaking and I'm like, and I had to go into fasting and prayer. I'm serious. And it was after this fasting and prayer that the judge came one day and said, wait a minute, this case is simple. We need to, before we go to trial, we need to decide whether there was a debt and whether your husband changed domicile. Now, who should be able to tell whether a husband changed domicile?
His wife.
Should the brother be able to contend that?
No.
So, and I'm telling you, 100%, my husband did not. He had a return ticket. He was living with a medical condition. Nigeria is a country where president, vice president travel for medicals.
So the house in America, there was no point. That's where you guys lived?
That's where we live.
Before
one of
you
the properties.
moved?
We didn't.
No, sorry. Yeah. Before you traveled.
Traveled, yes.
Okay. So, and there was no issue with the property. You lived there. He didn't sell it.
No.
He didn't rent it out. No. Nothing.
No.
So I'm just very confused.
So this lawsuit brought us to a point where they now forced me to settle with him. The judge literally forced me, compelled me to settle. Because we started the pre-hearing to determine debt and to determine domicile. And while on oath, he was telling a lot of lies, including using a doctored passport to say, oh, he traveled to Nigeria with a Nigerian passport. See the stamp. Guess what? The passport he was showing to the judge, and I had to call it out. I was acting for myself. That's one of the things that kicked my behind. Because in the US, you must be ready to hire an attorney. And it doesn't come cheap. $350 per hour, $250 per hour. The least you get is $150 per hour, up to whatever per hour. So I couldn't afford to hire one. Don't forget, I said $10,000 was left in the account. I used it immediately to start paying mortgage. 2 properties with two units, that's 4 properties. So the passport that we were showing to the judge could not have had the entry stamp he was trying to show. You know how I knew? The passport expired in October. The new one he obtained was with me. The old one, the brother, I don't know how, maybe he stole it, maybe he got it from me, I don't know how we got into his hand. But so when you're in court and you're saying, see the evidence, he traveled with this, and and I said, objection. And it was sustained. And when they checked, the judge said, I can't see what you're showing me. I need you to bring the original of this passport. Now, if I was a lawyer, at that point I should have said, then let's stop this until he brings it.
He brings it, yeah.
I'm not a lawyer. So when they saw how everything was going, they compelled me to enter into a settlement. And we did, just for my peace. So they reduced me from being 100% owner of these properties to 78% owner and so many other things. But guess what they did again? When you and I settle, if we get anything now, we settle. Will I be the one to write it alone and sign it alone?
No.
And submit it alone and pass it into law alone?
No.
Don't you have a say in reading through and signing? They didn't let me do that.
How?
And the judge passed it into law. And the settlement they did removed me entirely.
How? I don't understand.
How? This is how I'm telling you. This is the abuse. This is the fraud. How? They did it. We were still discussing. In fact, we had gotten to a point in the discussion because all the while we were discussing, this man was saying, no, I want 50% because he physically came. No, I want 50%. No, I want this. It's for
your
all the
husband's
siblings.
brother.
Yes. It's for all the siblings. It is for this. It is for that. And I said, no. My husband was supported by a lot of people. If somebody is living with sickle cell, he had pastors who supported him. He had friends. Everybody's going to get something. That's the kind of person I am. I live with the philosophy of you only sleep on one bed, you only can drive one car. If you have 10, you can only drive one at a time.
Yeah.
The day you have to put your leg in one and put the other leg in the other one, then you're mad.
Yeah. How has this whole experience affected you? I know the emotional and psychological aspect of it. I've been there, so I can understand. But as regards finances, where you live, what's going on in your life right now?
One of the things I never used to do was to borrow. I've been in America in and out since 2005. Check it out anywhere, I don't use a credit card. When all this started, I had to borrow. I had to beg. When I returned from my trip in the UK, because I had moved to another property, after I I had to start renovating so that I can start renting out, so that I can start making money to pay to debtors, to pay to bank. I got to my house and I couldn't go in because the locks had been changed.
By who?
By his lawyers working for him. Okay, down the line, they did this. After the settlement, a realtor came to me to help me to sell my house. I didn't know that they sent him.
Oh.
So the realtor down the line gave them my keys. So they got access. And they went to file to get a substitute administrator. How can a plaintiff who has no rights or has now been given 22% rights with other siblings now be the one introducing a substitute administrator? Not the courts. They did. So somehow, the letter of administration issued to me was revoked.
How? How would they?
You keep saying how, but this is fraud.
I know. You see, there are some things that will happen, and if we were in Nigeria, I would tell you, look, You can make anything happen as long as you have the money. But when it comes to America, because this is a question people will ask.
A lot of people have asked this question. One man actually told me, this cannot happen in America, so I don't want to be a part of it. And I said to him, it's because you're myopic about the level of fraud that goes on here. One good thing about America is this. When they dig into it, if this video you're recording gets to the right quarters and they dig into this, everybody, including the judge, is going to be picked up. That may not happen in Nigeria. When the fraud is uncovered, fraud is a reason to upturn any case. And that's one reason I've given myself a lot of peace. I've told myself I'm not going to die in this battle. So I take my health very seriously. I go for my medical checkups. In fact, I'm like a brand new human being now. Thank God that I even got a free health insurance, which was a blessing. Because I was losing it.
So they revoked the letter of administration. You couldn't get into your home anymore.
I got back and I couldn't get into my home. I insisted on sleeping there and the police assaulted me. Yes, the police called an ambulance, lied to the ambulance that, oh, she's gone cuckoo, she's suicidal, come and pick her. I thought the ambulance was taking me to a shelter or something. I landed in the hospital and they put me with suicidal people. Yes, that's another angle. You see, all the story, that's why I told you when I started that this is a 10-part story. So there's police brutality. I have some of the audios on my phone because they dragged me on the floor. They did all what they could do. Wow. All because, you see, even before, one of the things that his lawyers did was to run in to do an emergent injunction while I was away. This is not something that any emergent anything should be allowed. So they rushed into the court to do an emergency injunction to sell without my permission.
Okay.
Take over the property, sell without my permission, that I should not have a say. So and my 78% has not been nullified. Now, this is where they were able to do it. I know it's like, how? But don't forget I'm playing 3 roles. One is his wife. It is inalienable. It's a right you cannot revoke.
Revoke, yeah.
As wife. I'm an administrator. You can revoke that because it's like permission to take charge.
Yeah.
And you give it legally, even though this number 1 right is what gives me right for this.
Yeah.
So you can revoke that. And then I'm acting as counsel. Acting pro se for the estate of my husband. So these are 3 different roles. So if I was not wife, you could take my powers away. But because I am wife, you cannot take my rights away as wife.
Okay, but that didn't stop them from locking you out of the home, allegedly?
Because they were only acting on one. They were acting as if I'm not wife. I'm just administrator. And your power as administrator has been taken away, so we have a right. But you cannot do that.
Okay, so now they lock you up.
They locked me out. I came back.
Then the police takes you to a hospital?
Police calls ambulance. I landed in Inglewood Hospital. They kept me. They kept me there. I was going to make a lot of noise. The Holy Spirit said, if you make noise there, they give you injection. You're already showing traits of somebody who is insane. So just calm down. I only insisted on having my food. They didn't let anybody have food. They didn't put me in a room. They put me in the corridor. And I could hear people they were restraining. I could hear suicidal people. I could hear all that going on in my head. Only the Holy Spirit kept me sane and alive. Thank God for God in me. I went into the toilet, told them I needed, when they gave me a container, and I recorded a video in the toilet. In my car, I have the hospital gown. Because the day the police, they wanted, by morning, because I kept telling them, there's nothing wrong with me, let me go. They said, no, a psychiatrist has to evaluate you. I've written to my insurance company not to pay a dime. Because there wasn't anything wrong. The doctor came and said, there's nothing wrong with that. I said, well, I'm not leaving until 1, you tell me exactly what they told you when they sent me here. 2, the police that brought me here need to come and correct this. And 3, I need my blood back. You people took my blood. I need that blood back. They called the police came in. But I insisted on not leaving until those 3 things were fulfilled. Of course, they started dragging me. They started doing everything. In hospital gown. Got me to Inglewood police station. and took me to the back of the office. They didn't book me. They conferred within themselves that we don't have any reason to book this woman. We better let her go. And they threatened me that they were going to confine me for insanity if I don't work.
Okay, so at this point, you can't get into your home. You've been taken to the hospital. You've gone to the police station.
I've slept on the streets, the hospital, the police station, because by the time I returned, my phone line was also blocked. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it has to do with the network, but I couldn't use my phone when I arrived.
So at what point are we at now?
Okay, this is where we are now. After I was locked out, the right thing would have been, because I was never served for any eviction. I mean, it was supposed to be an eviction notice to get me out of the property, right? Mm-hmm. You don't serve a property and eviction notice. You serve a person. I was never served. I was not here. So the lockout was their own invention without any court order authorizing it. And because the lockout was their invention, they also moved out my things without any order. They moved everything out. When I arrived, I could see through the glass door that my things were inside. From this 5-bed home, they moved out everything. I'd already bought enough furnishings for because my plan was to start a short let so that I could, make a lot of money to start paying everybody I needed to pay and start sorting things out. Because once the property is distressed, nobody wants to buy it at value.
Yeah.
So I needed to at least do something. I had renovated. It was fully renovated. Spent thousands of dollars on that. So they moved out my things and they started threatening me to come and get those things. I said, no, you can't take my things through the back door and threaten me to get them through the back door. I was forced to get a lawyer. Right now, we're fundraising to be able, lawyers are just like, you just have to keep putting money to keep them working.
So you're still in the battle of this thing now?
Yes. So we're now at the appeal stage. An appeal has been filed to upturn the so-called settlement because there was no settlement.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the settlement, my fear is this, and I prayed, it's only God that can sort all those things out.
Yeah.
Even before they did the emergency injunction, they had already taken an insurance on my property. A friend of one of the lawyers, or an acquaintance or whatever, but I know that we have something going, had already taken an insurance on a property. How do you take an insurance on a property that you have not bought? I have the documents.
Wow, okay.
So we are at a point now we're appealing. Appeal could turn everything around. But most importantly, even outside the appeal, if the judiciary accepts, the Lagos State Judiciary accepts their complicity in this and writes to the Bergen Surrogate Court to say, excuse me, we have investigated because they did. The former chief judge actually got them to investigate. And we got to the bottom of the fact that I did not.
Where? In Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
So what happened to that?
Well, the investigation was done. They discovered that I did not do it. The letter is here. But they're now saying go and litigate. You don't say go and litigate for a document you have issued.
I see that there's a death certificate with you right now.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll get to that. This is the letter from Lagos Judiciary after they did the investigation. And they wrote there the law firm that filed the application, which exonerated me. But you know what they did when they gave me this document? You know what they did? What? They did not put it on letterhead. But after I reported, because I actually reported at Area F, I reported this as a criminal case, as a way to just get a report that I can take back. This was before all these things got very complicated. And Area F, policemen there asked me for bribe.
Of course, it's
normal, right? Like it's Nigeria.
It's Area F.
It's Area F. When I did not play balls, they changed it from being a criminal case to a civil case. Okay. And they released them on self-recognition. I made the mistake of adding my husband's brother's wife because she collected the death certificate. I made a mistake of not adding her to the report, filing, the petition. But should you turn a criminal, because they dug into it. But guess what the police report says? Oh, we have investigated. The letter by you, which is this letter, was the judiciary confirmed that they gave you this letter, but They did not issue the letter of administration.
So you have proof that they did not issue the letter of
I have
administration?
proof that they never did.
And then here, they're still not paying attention to that proof.
They're not paying attention to anything. Let me bring out an instance. There's a new judge now because the old judge retired. And the new judge would always say when I get to court, oh, don't give me all the story. Just tell me what I need to know because I've read everything. And I did something in my last motion. I put in there that I wanted to speak in Yoruba because they've been changing the things I say. For instance, where I said that my husband, that there's no loan existing anymore because my husband bought a pilot jeep for his brother and it was valued at $33,000. Do you know the transcript wrote $3,000? So I put it there that I needed translation service. I wanted to speak my Yoruba. If the person is translating in English, at least let them speak. If you're saying my accent is the problem, let somebody who has your accent speak to you. And then when I got to judge and the judge I said, but I requested, I do not see a translator in here. I requested, oh, you did? What does that tell you? They don't read
these things. They're not. Okay, so now we are at the appeal stage. You still don't have access to your property.
I don't.
And this thing is still going on.
Yes.
What do you want people to take away from this? What do you want people to know? And what advice do you have for women, especially married women, who we are not praying for any of such to happen, yes, but things happen inevitably. But what do you want people to know about understanding, the legality of all of this, of marriage, of loss of a spouse, and what should they know from this whole thing?
Most importantly, you need to have, some people will say, I don't believe in God, but have something that holds you. It could be God, it could be something you believe in, spiritual, because at times it holds you in times like this, because it keeps you believing, you hold on to hope. You need to have that, whether you're single or married. Secondly, every married woman should know that she's a potential or kinetic widow. As long as you're married. If you don't die before your husband, and from our culture, oftentimes is the man that is older. Yes, death is not by age, but oftentimes. So, with this too, you also need to add one more thing. You must have your own business
that you're doing.
Don't ever be what they call housewife. If that becomes your role, make it official. Receive a salary, receive income, and plan.
Our people will say, you want to receive a salary for being a housewife.
Then go and work. Or have a business you're doing, a shop, a store, or something, cooking from home.
But also, I think we also have to understand that women should also pay attention to legal matters, insurance, money.
It is where I'm coming.
Yeah.
A lot of men, I mean, oftentimes when I see my husband sit at the table and he's trying to work out the numbers, I say, let me help you with that. He says, have I started anything I can't finish? Have I told you that I got this? I got this. Okay. Understand the figures.
And where it's going.
For instance, I didn't know my husband had insurance. After we were asked to go and look for documents I had to dig, he closed it out the year before he died. What he used the money for, I don't know. He closed it out the year before, 2015 January to be precise. It's one of the reasons why the family, the brother is on my neck. He believes that I'm living off this secretly. Another thing is, the marriage act or the marriage certificate should have been sufficient, but it is not. So a will is important.
Insist, no matter the age.
You have a right to distribute what you own yourself and give it to even your village rats.
But the spouse must have a will.
You should have a document that says, in the event that I pass away, this and this and this should be done. the marriage certificate should be sufficient.
But it's not.
But it is not. But guess what? And this is where the argument for will falls flat. Even with a will, if anybody walks in to challenge it,
That will.
that will is dead on arrival.
So what do we have as a guarantee?
Thank you. Only two things, really. Here it's established. It's called like an estate trustee.
Estate trustee.
Yes. That doesn't go through. Once there's a trustee in place to handle it, they kick in immediately, he dies. You don't even have to go through the law court for anything. And secondly, is your name on these things.
So
you are, my name for instance, some call me Omolola Omoteso. If I were to be on a property, it shouldn't be Omolola Omoteso. Any Omolola Omoteso can arise tomorrow.
yeah, so it should be
Omolola Famuyiwa.
So when you're married and your names have to appear on property, it shouldn't be Mr. and Mrs. this person.
Anybody can wake up and be Mrs. Guess what? The marriage certificate that joins two people has your maiden name.
Yeah.
That's the legal document that joins you to your husband. We get so crazy about this, Mrs. But you were not joined as a Mrs. to a Mr. You were joined as a Ms. or a Miss to a Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
The contract is between you, maiden,
and the
him. So when you want everything to appear Mrs., anybody can be. He marries a woman tomorrow. You've been married to him for 30 years. You are at par.
Yeah, with that person.
You are both Mrs.
We have so much to learn. I have so much to digest from everything you have just said.
I know,
and
because
I know
now
that,
I've got so many other things you didn't know about it.
yeah, because when people watch this interview, they're going to be like, huh? Like,
I know.
there are too many things happening at the same time
Too
to
many
one
things.
person. But for me, I can only say allegedly. But it's your
I know,
story.
I know.
So you say, this is it, but it's your story. I can only say allegedly.
know.
But because I have been there as well, I have an understanding
idea.
of what you're talking about
Yeah.
and how it can seem like this can happen to just one person. It's too much to happen to just one person. But I totally understand. I sympathize with you. And I'm hoping that by the time this video comes out, that people will watch this with an open mind.
Yes.
And if they have anyone who's lost a husband before, maybe sit with that person and understand what this interview is about. And most importantly, I'm hoping that the right people would actually take this up and try to dig into what you have said so far to see how, they can help or whatever it is.
I want to quickly mention this. I mean, I've become like, I said to myself now that Harvard should just review all this and give me honorary degree in law. I had to go to court about 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Right? I mentioned I renovated properties and then started having tenants. One of the tenants just suddenly stopped paying rent. They went to harass him to say to him, we now own these things. Mind you, part of what the settlements that they did said is that they now even own his inheritance in Nigeria. So even that they're not letting go. And what he owns in Nigeria, because the father split it between 4 of them, is 25% of an entire estate, which runs into about $150,000. So they went to harass this man, he stopped paying rent. I had to go to court. And thankfully, he was evicted just this month. And that is now the property I'm able to go into, but still all my belongings. So my appeal is this. Every woman should also find out, should know, have an idea of how things work in the legal system. When your husband dies, cry all you can cry, but have somebody who goes to you say, shine your eye. As they cry, they see.
They see, yeah.
Have somebody you trust, because when this man was coming to me, I knew he could not be trusted, but he's the only brother to my husband. So if he comes to me to say, I want to help you to do this, I don't immediately start saying, no, let somebody else.
Yeah.
So ask somebody you can trust that would handle things for you. And then Or don't lose your friends and your family, please. They have remained my own support. My alumni, my siblings, my friends, pastors. The day I was going into depression, a pastor drove 4 hours round trip to come and stand by me. And my husband's brother in UK has been divinely, like a divine helper.
So basically have strong support system
network.
around you.
Please.
Okay.
Please. Thank you so much for your time.
Wow, this is a lot, but thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about later, and a lot more work to do, because this is happening till now to other people as well. They're afraid to speak, they're afraid to come out. People are afraid to support them, because if the people that are involved in their case are influential people, they know that they can't go against them. But we will see how this goes from there and how we can help other widows as well.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your strength. Not a lot of people have that.
Only God can be thanked for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and thanks to your crew.
Thank you. I know that this is a lot of information for a lot of you, but with the things that we have said so far, I know and trust and believe that someone out there is listening. Like I said, it's not in my place to say, oh, this is the truth. This is her truth. Everyone deserves a right to speak their truth. It is your responsibility to listen to this truth. Keep an open mind when you're listening, when you're watching this interview. I hope you kept an open mind. But most importantly, whatever it is that you can do, whatever information you have, whatever advice you have, whatever help you can render, please do that. All the information that you need for everything that you want to do or give or say will be in the description box below. Spread this message, share the word, and let every woman out there, especially the married ones, take the advice that Dr. Omolola Omoteso has given, okay? Thank you guys for watching. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.